Okay, guys. So today's our topic is actually going to be strategy in factory. Okay. So strategy. Okay. So it's basically how you actually when you see some different question, right? There are different kind of strategy when you actually see a question, and then there are actually different kind of way you can actually factoring it. Right? So now basically this chapter is kind of like it's just gonna give you some random question, and then it's kind of like testing your whole ability, like when you see cause on the previous chapter, previous topic we actually talking about is just basically talking about maybe one method or the other method, right? So we have different methods for solving different kind of problem, but now in this chapter, strategy in factory, it just kind of like mix all the different kind of question in one chapter. Okay, so now so if you can doing this the question over here pretty well, then you should be able you should actually well know about how to do all the factory. Okay, so let's go through some of the really important property over here first. Okay, so over here what we have as property 1 is over here, it does simply equal to property 1 x to the power 3. Okay, x to the power 3 plus y to the power 3 is actually equal to x plus y bracket, and then x squared minus xy plus y squared bracket, right? So I will suggest you to you guys to actually memorize it. Okay, to actually memorize. So those two property memorized. Okay, so try to memorize those two property. Okay, and the second property what we have over here is x to the power 3 minus y to the power 3. Okay, is equal to x minus y bracket x squared plus xy plus y squared bracket. So that's how the property is gonna work for okay. So try to memorize those two properties, because I think it's gonna be quite important and it's gonna appear in question. Okay. So for now, let's just go. So that's for now. We just go straight to some real example. Okay. We just go into doing some question right now. Okay. So we have totally actually 10 questions as I remember it. So we got totally 10 questions over here. Okay, so we got 10 questions over here. So we're gonna go through them one by one, and then if you have some problem, okay, so we're gonna go through them one by one really detailedly. Okay, all right. Okay, so let's moving to the top, and then we're gonna do question 1 over here. Okay. As I said before, this chapter is about the strategy of doing all the factoring of different question, right? Okay, so alright, so let's look at the first question. Okay, the first question over here, what we have is x squared minus 3x, right? So since this is the first one, it should be really easy, right? So you can see x will be the greatest common factor among those two terms, right? So you factor out x, and then it becomes x minus 3 inside the bracket, right? Okay, right? So x is the greatest common factor among those two terms, right? So you put x outside the bracket, and then inside you just write it down x minus 3, right? So now we finish the factory. Okay, so now we finished the factoring for problem 1. Okay, so now let's move into question 2. Okay, question 2 over here, as I said before, you always before you actually doing any steps, you try to see can you factory out anything before you actually get before you actually doing any more further step to factory. Okay, so you can see we have a 5, and then we have a negative 10, and then we have a 25, right? So 5 is equal to 5 multiplied by 1. 10 is actually equal to Okay, so let me write it down. So 5 is actually equal to 5 multiplied by 1, and then 10 is actually equal to 5 multiplied by 2, right? And then 25 is actually equal to 5 multiplied by 5. So you know over here we have the greatest common factor among those 3 terms. It should be 5, right? So you write the 5 out, and then it just becomes a squared minus 2a, right? And then plus 5, right? Makes sense, right? Okay, so let me actually write a little bit more clear, I guess. It's going to be plus 5, right? So that's what we have over here. That's what basically what we have it over here, right? So now after we factor out 5, it just becomes 5 bracket a squared minus 2a, right? So minus 2a is minus 2a and then plus 5, right? It's actually equal to plus 5. So now you are actually thinking about like, am I able to factor more, or is or exactly am I able to factor out the thing in the bracket? Okay, the thing in the bracket, am I able to? That's a question you ask yourself. Can you do it a little bit further, right? And basically the answer here is no. Okay, you just you just cannot factor out this anymore, because you see there's a 5 over here. So there's actually no way. There's actually no combination we can actually make it become -2. Okay, so that's basically the thing. Okay, so we have a 5 over here. We have a 5 over here, and then there's basically no way we can make the middle by doing there actually no way we can make the combination, doing some combination, and then it become -2. Okay, right. So as I said before, cause inside is a trinomial. We practice this kind of problem like many times, right? Inside is a trinomial, so we actually using the basic method to actually factor out the stuff, right? Right. So that's why over here we just cannot factor out anymore. Okay, so we just leave the answer as it is. Okay, so we just leave the answer as it is. All right. Okay. So now let's move into question 3. Okay, so now let's move into question 3. So question 3, you look at the question, yeah, you feel like first thing ever. So as I tell you the strategy, when you look at a different question, the first thing you ever want to do is you want to see, is there anything I can factor out before you're doing either further step using any method. Okay, and you see in this question there's actually nothing we can factor out. I mean, there's actually nothing we can actually factor out before we're doing any method, right? So you can see we have a p over here, and then we have a q over here, and we have a pq over here. We have a q square over here. So there's actually nothing in common. All of those terms just have nothing in common. So we don't have a greatest common factor over here. We don't have it, right? So we just don't have it, right? So now if you remember, we actually need to pick the right combination. Okay, the right term, not the combination. So over here you need to pick the right term. So the right term, the way how you actually solving this problem is you have to pick in the right term. So we're gonna pick 2p and positive pq over here. As you can see in those two terms, right? You see we have a common factor which is p, right? So you see between the term 2p and then pq, among those terms we have a common factor which is p, right? So you write out the p, and then it becomes 2 plus q, right? So that's what you get, right? And then you're gonna pick the other two terms, right? You're gonna pick the other two terms, right? So you basically pick the other two terms, and then you see in the other two terms, we have in the other two terms we have a 6, right? So 6 is actually equal to 3 multiplied by 2, and we have a 3, right? 3 is actually equal to 3 multiplied by 1. So you should be able to see that. You should be able to see that. So 3 is actually a part of the greatest common factor between those two terms. Okay, so between those two terms, between negative 6q and negative 3q squared, right? And then you notice that both of them have a q. Both of them have a q and a q squared, right? So they have a q and q squared. So you should notice that q will be a part of the greatest common factor, right? Q is actually a part of the greatest common factor. So the greatest common factor among those two terms, it should be 3q. Okay, it should be 3q. All right, so now you write it out. It should be negative 2, right? It should be negative 2, and then minus q, right? So that's how we actually factor out stuff, right? So okay, and you want to make sure it is equal. It is equivalence. Okay, it is equivalent to the previous term. Okay, you want to make sure that. Okay, so now we actually have to perform one more step. Okay, so now what we have to do is what we're gonna do is we're gonna plus, actually over here it should be negative 3q. After we put out the negative, it becomes 2 plus q, right? So we put out the negative, so the negative right, we put out the negative, the thing in the bracket, it becomes 2 plus q, right? So 2 plus q, now you see 2 plus q and then 2 plus q, right? So now 2 plus q is actually the greatest common factor among those two terms, right? So basically we just finished the factoring, right? Okay, so basically that's the idea, how you actually solving this kind of problem. Okay, so again maybe I should repeat it a little bit. So again, you can see over here we have 2 plus q and then 2 plus 2 on both terms, right? On both terms. So 2 plus 2 will be the greatest common factor among those two terms. So you write it down 2 plus 2, and then you see we have a q, we have a p, and then we have a negative 3q. So you put that into the bracket to finish the factory, right? So it becomes p minus 3q. So now we actually finished the question, right? We finished the factoring, right? So actually this is the solution. Okay, so this is the final solution. Okay, so now let's move into question 4, I guess. Question 4. So for question 4, you look at this question, you're thinking about can I actually factor out some number or variable before I doing some method stuff, before I try to do some method stuff. And then the answer over here is no. Okay, because you can see we have 3b squared and then 17b and then negative 18, and nothing is actually in common, so we cannot factor out anything. So we have to apply the method right away. Okay, so basically we have to apply the method right away. So over here, if you have cause you can see this question is another trinomial. So right, so before if you're watching the video before, you would really know how you actually apply. So you should really know how you apply the basic method, right? So what we're gonna do is I'm actually going to apply the basic method over here. So you see we have a term 3b squared, right? So we make it become 3b and the b, right? And then we have a negative 28, right? We have a negative 28. So obviously the right combination over here, it should be negative 7 at the bottom and then 4 at the top. Okay, so makes sense, right? So I mean so we have over this side, what we have is 3b multiplied by b is 3b squared, which is equal to 3b squared. right? So that's what we wanted, right? And on the right hand side we have a 4 multiplied by negative 7. It is equal to negative 28, which is also equal to that. So that's what we wanted, right? So this is gonna be actually going to be actually over here we actually have to make negative 4 at the top. Okay, I'm sorry, I just suddenly see it. Sorry. Okay, so I mean negative 4 and multiplied by 7 is also negative 28, right? So now it is the right combination. Okay, so now it's actually the right combination. Okay, so now we're gonna do in the cross operation, right? As always, because the reason why we want to do the cross operation is we want to make sure the middle number is actually exactly plus 17b, right? We want to make sure that. So you basically do 3b multiplied by 7 and then plus. So we're gonna do in this, right? Plus b multiplied by negative 4, right? 3b multiplied by 7 is actually 21b. 21b minus 4b is actually equal to 17b, right? It's actually equal to 17b, right? Okay, so now you see that we actually get the equal b, right? So we actually equal to so we get exactly 17b and 17b in the question, right? So we exactly get 70b and 70b in the question, right? So now you actually get the right answer. Okay, so now you're actually getting the right answer, right? So now I'm just gonna erase it. So now you can actually write down the answer, right? So you just basically write down the answer. So you put a line between it, and then you write it down 3b minus 4 and b plus 7. That's it. Okay, so you write it down 3b minus 4 and then b plus 7. So this is gonna be, we finished the factoring, so we solved the problem. Okay, and all of those you don't are details. Okay, are details, so you don't need to write it in the exam. Okay, you just write those details in another paper or someone else. Okay, you don't need to write it in the exam. Or okay, the only thing you need to write is this solution. Okay, this is the solution, right? Okay, so let's move into question 5, I guess. Okay, so question 5, all right. Alright, so let me give you some idea to actually how to solving this problem. Okay, so before we actually doing this problem, I actually want to recall some of the property. Okay, so remember one of the property is actually equal to let me see, okay, so it's actually equal to a plus b, a minus b is equal to a squared minus b squared. Okay, so this is the property we're gonna apply it in this question in order to solve the factory out. Okay, so let me actually rewrite it a little bit. I think it's not quite clear. A plus b, a minus b is equal to a squared minus b squared. Maybe you still don't understand, but okay, so let me explain a little more clear. Okay, how you actually apply this property, this property into this question. Okay, so over here the question what we have is actually bracket x minus y to the bracket to the power 2 minus 16, right? So you can actually rewrite this equation become, right? So we rewrite it to x minus y squared minus 4 squared, right? So 16 is actually a perfect square, right? So 16 is equal to 4 squared, which is a perfect square, right? It's actually a perfect square. So now you look at the property over here. The property over here now it look really familiar, right? It's actually look familiar, right? So now basically what we do is we have to apply the property. We're just gonna factory it, right? So we try to apply the property. So we basically write it out, x minus y plus 4, okay, and then x minus y minus 4. So that's basically how you factor it, okay. So basically over here, you know, all right. So that's that's basically how you apply the property well, right? Okay. Right. Well, you know, this is gonna be the final solution. I mean, there's actually not many explanation over here, cause you can see how the property is actually going to work, right? So that's why there's actually not many explanation over here, cause over here what you do is you just basically following the property. Okay, so you basically just following the property. That's it. So and then you will finish the factory. Okay, you will finish the factory. All right. Okay, so let's move into question 6. Right. So question 6. As I tell you before, we always trying to factor out anything before we actually applying any method, right? So we actually try to factor out anything before we actually applying some method, right? So over here we have 4p squared minus 8p minus 60, right? So you know 4 is actually equal to 4 multiplied by 1. 8 is actually equal to 4 multiplied by 2. 60 is actually equal to 4 multiplied by 12, right? 60 is actually equal to 4 multiplied by 12. Oh, I'm sorry. Actually, it is wrong. It's actually equal to 4 multiplied by 15. Sorry. Oh, wait a second. Yeah, okay. 4 is actually equal to us. I mean, okay, 16 is actually equal to 4 multiplied by 15. Sorry. Yeah, sorry. Okay. So now you can see they all have a common factor, which is 4, and it is the greatest, right? It is actually the greatest, right? So you know you can actually factor out 4 before you actually do any method, right? Okay. So you basically factor out 4, and then it becomes p squared minus 2p, and then minus 15, right? So that's basically, you know, okay. So first of all we factor out 4, because 4 is the greatest common factor among those 3 terms, right? So now we actually have to using the basic method to solving the trinomial, right? So you know, we write down p and then p, right? And then you see the number over here is actually negative 15. So the right combination over here, it should be negative 5 and then 3. Okay? Okay, it should be negative 5 and also 3. Okay? Okay, so now, okay, so let's do the cross operation. Okay? If you're actually good enough, you don't even have to do the cross operation. Okay, but for now, you know, cause I'm actually explaining, maybe some people still don't understand, so I'm just gonna do it again. Okay, so let's do the cross operation. P multiplied by negative 5, and then we have a plus the other two sides plus p multiplied by 3, right? So it just basically becomes negative 5p plus 3p. Negative 5p plus 3p is actually negative 2p, right? So it's actually negative 2p, right? So that's exactly the number in the middle, right? So that's exactly the number in the middle. Negative 2p equal to negative 2p. So you know you actually get the right combination, right? So you actually get the right combination. So let me erase those circles. So now is the time you actually write down the solution, right? So you actually write down the solution. So you put a line between it and then you write it down. And don't forget the 4 over here. Okay, so you write down 4. Let me, okay, a little more clear, I guess. Write down 4, and then you write it down p plus 3, and then p minus 5. Okay, so don't forget 4. Okay, so this is gonna be the final solution. Or we finished the full factory, and this is going to be the final solution for question 6. Okay. Okay, so let's move into question 7. Question 7. Okay, question 7. Okay, so the strategy what we're gonna use over here is we're gonna recall. Okay, so recall one of the property, a plus b, a minus b is equal to a squared minus b squared. Okay. So so basically how you thinking about which of the property or which of the method you want to use it, is you basically thinking about how I can actually solving, how I can actually factor out, how you can actually factor out before before you actually trying to factor out a question. So at the beginning you should be thinking about which property or which method I'm actually able to using it. Okay, so that's basically a strategy. And over here, what the strategy is, we have to using this. Okay, so let me show you why we have to using this over here. Why we actually have to using this property in order to finish the factory over here. Okay, so the question over here, what we have is m to the power 4 minus 9 m to the power 4, right? So m to the power 4 can be written as this, right? M to the power 4 is actually a perfect square, right? It's actually a perfect square, and it can be written as bracket m to the power 2 and then to the power 2 and then bracket to the power 2, right? Okay, and then we have a minus, and we can write it as this. Okay, so before you actually trying to doing this, you should notice that 9 is actually a perfect square, right? 9 is actually equal to 3 to the power 2, right? And n4 is actually equal to n to the power 2 multiplied by 2. So you know that 9n to the power 4 is actually a perfect square, and then it can be written in this kind of form, right? It can be written in this kind of form, right? Okay, so now you're gonna apply the property. Now you see over here, it's kind of like really familiar, right? It's actually really familiar, right? So now we're actually going to apply the property. Okay, so the property is basically this way. Okay, m squared and then plus 3n squared and then n squared minus 3n squared. So now we actually done the question, right? So over here there's actually not many explanation, because all we basically do is we just gonna using this property over here, right? We just basically using this property, right? Okay, right? Okay, so let's move into question 8. Question 8. Okay, so question 8, you may feel like a little bit strange over here. Okay, you may feel like you see over here what we have is 27x to the power 3 plus 125 y to the power 3, and then so basically as I say before, at the beginning you try to factor out anything before you using any property or method, but over here there's nothing in common. So we don't actually have a greatest common factor between it, right? So right away you should know we have to using some property or some method, right? Actually the property what we have to use it over here is actually the one we just talking in this chapter, in this topic. Okay, so remember, right? You remember the property of x to the power 3 plus y to the power 3 is actually equal to x plus y, and x squared minus xy plus y squared, right? So that's the property we're gonna use it over here, right? So this is the property. This is the major thing which how we actually factor out, right? How we actually factor out, right? So first of all, we have to do some simplification, do some step first, right? So as you basically know, over here, let me write it. Okay, 27 is actually 3 to the power 3, right? And the 125 is actually 5 to the power 3, right? So 27 is actually equal to 3 to the power 3, right? And then 125 is actually equal to 5 to the power 3, right? Right? Okay. So let us write it over here. 3 to the power 3, x to the power 3 plus 5 to the power 3, and then y to the power 3. So let's actually put that into the bracket, okay? It becomes 3x to the power 3, and then plus 5y to the power 3, right? Okay. Okay, so you may ask me why you actually want to put in those things into the bracket. You may ask me why you actually want to put in things into the bracket, because we over here what we have over here is x to the power 3, and then what we have over here is y to the power 3. You're gonna have to you want to make sure you actually find the right x, and then you plug those, you just plug in, right? That's all you have to do. That's all basically what you do over here. And then you can see over here we have 3x, so that means x is actually equal to 3x. So instead of using x, we have to using 3x when we actually plug in into this part. Okay, when we actually plug in into this part, and then you know y is actually equal to 5y, so we have to using 5y when we actually plug into the equation, plug into the property, when we actually want to get the right answer. So that's the meaning why, that's the reason, you know, I'm actually doing those factory. I'm actually trying to put in things into the bracket, you know, try to doing the factory before you know we actually want to you know get the answer. Because you have to find the right x and y. So the step over here, right? So the step over here is that we have to using 3x and then 5y in order to get the right answer for this question. Okay, so that is the purpose. Now it's the time for you to actually plug in the number, right? So we have x, so x is just simply 3x. You write down 3x, and then we have a plus y. Y is just simply 5y, right? And then after that we have a x squared. So you write down 3x squared, right? And then you have a negative. You have a negative x multiplied by y. So it's 3x multiplied by 5y, right? And then the thing left is a y squared. So y squared means it's 5y squared, right? So now we just gonna simplify a little bit more, right? So now is the thing we have to, you know, simplify actually a little bit more, right? So we have to, you know, simplify a little bit more. Yeah. So now, you know, what we have over here is 3x to the power 2. So you know it's actually 9x squared, and then minus 3x multiplied by 5y, which is 15xy, and then we have a plus y. We have a 5y, we have a 5y squared, so which is 25y squared, right? So now we actually fully, you know, complete this answer, right? Now this is actually the solution. Okay, so right, so you need to know how you actually, you know, using property right. Okay, how you actually using the property in the right way. Otherwise you will not get this solution. Okay, so now this is the solution. Okay, this is gonna be the solution. Okay, so this is for question 8. I believe there's only 2 questions left. Yeah, actually there's 2 questions left. Okay, so now let's do question 9. Yeah, let's just basically do question 9 over here. So question 9, as I mentioned before, the major strategy is your first. Can you actually factor out before you know you're using any property or method? Okay, and the answer is no over here, right? Because you can see we have a 9x squared and the 12xy, 4y squared, and negative 25. There's nothing actually in common in among those 4 terms. So we don't have a greatest common factor over here. Okay, so now you know you have to using some property or method, right? You have to using some property or method. Okay. So basically over here, I'm just gonna tell you guys one of the strategy. Actually, so okay, so the method what we're gonna use over here, is you first focus on this part. Okay, you first of all you want to focus on this part. So you can if you only focus on this part on the left hand side, you can see we got a 9x squared plus 12xy plus 4y squared. So you should be able to see that we can actually using the base. We can actually able to using the basic method over here. We can actually using the method how we solve trinomial before the base method, right? Okay, so that's what we're gonna do over here. So we have a 9x squared, so we write it down as 3x and then 3x, right? 3x multiplied by 3x is actually 9x squared, right? And then we have a 4y squared. 4y squared is also a perfect square, right? And then 9x squared is also a perfect square, right? So we write it down 4y squared as 2y and another 2y, right? 2y, so okay, 2y and then 2y. So this is the right combination. This is the right combination. Actually, how you actually solving the problem. How you actually factor out the left part. Okay, the left part. Okay, so now you know we're gonna doing the cross operation, right? So what we have is 3x multiplied by 2y, and then we have a plus, and then we have this part, we have a 3x multiplied by 2y, which is equal to 6xy plus 6xy, which is equal to 12xy, right? So it is actually equal to 12xy. 12xi is the exact number what we wanted, right? 12xi is the exact number what we wanted as the middle number. So you know we actually get the right combination, right? So we actually get the right combination for the left part, and then you basically write a line and then you write it down, right? You write it down 3x plus 2y, right? And then 3x plus 2y, and then we have a minus 25. And then we actually going to simplify a little bit more. We have to factor out more. So 3x plus 2y, so it just becomes square, minus 25, right? So it just becomes 3x plus 2y squared minus 25. So over here you may thinking about like, you know, I'm already you may thinking about it, yeah, I'm done with the factoring. But actually over here we haven't done the factoring yet. Okay, so let's recall one of the property again. Okay, the property what we're gonna recall over here is a plus b, a minus b is equal to a squared minus b squared. Okay, so let's move it down a little bit. Okay, so we can actually using this property again over in this you know in over here. Okay, we can actually using this property again over here to actually simplify, to actually factor out more. Okay, so let me show you. So what we're still going to have 3x plus 2y squared. Okay, but let me actually rewrite a little more clear this plus. But you can actually write 25 equal to 5 squared, right? So you everyone know that, you know, 25 is actually 5 squared, which is a perfect square, right? And now you look at this part, you look at this part. Now it seems familiar, right? Now it seems familiar, right? So you know we can actually apply the property, right? We can actually apply the property over here. So all you're gonna do is you just basically using the property to show, you know. Okay, so you write it down like this. Okay, so you write it down like this. Okay, so this is even more factorial, right? So as I said, you know, okay, you guys get it, right? Okay, so now after we apply the property over here. So the property over here, that's how we apply it, right? So we basically have bracket, bigger bracket, 3x plus 2y plus 5, right? And then 3x plus 2y bracket minus 5. That's what we got, right? That's what we got, right? Okay. Okay, so even over here, you can still, you can actually put the thing out of the bracket. That's also okay. Okay. That's also okay. Okay. So if you want to actually put the thing out of the bracket, that's also okay. So now you actually finish the factory. Okay. So now you basically finish the whole factory. Okay. So now you basically finish the full factory. Okay. All right. So okay. So this one is basically the full solution, for question 9. Okay. So this is basically the full solution for question 9. Okay. So let's move into question 10. Okay, so question 10, so as I said before, first of all, you want to check, can you actually factor out before you applying any method or property? And the answer over here is no. Okay, you look at those terms, 12x plus 1 squared, and then negative 17x plus 1, and then 6. So there's actually nothing in common, right? So there's basically nothing in common. So you just cannot find a greatest common factor over here, right? So right away we have to actually applying the method, right? So right away you should know that we actually have to applying the basic method over here, right? So basically what we actually so over here we have to applying the basic method. Okay. Okay. So you can see we have a term 12x plus 1 squared, and you can write this term as 3x plus 1 and 4x plus 1, right? Because 3x plus 1 multiplied by 4x plus 1 is equal to 12x plus 1 squared, right? So it's actually valid, right? It's actually valid. Okay. And over here, you see the middle number what we wanted. The middle number what we wanted over here is actually negative 17x plus 1, right? So that's the negative number. You want to make it happen, right? So over here, the right combination actually over here is actually. So let's try a little bit, okay? Okay, so this one is actually not really working. Okay, so this one is actually not really working. So let's try a little bit more. Maybe put 3. Maybe put it over here. No, it's actually not. It's also not actually working. I guess it's actually not really working over here. Yeah, it's actually not really working. So let me try again. Let me try to see it. Actually, it's actually not working. I guess. So this combination, this combination is not working. And if you try the other combination like this, it's also not working. It's also not working. So that's all the combination what we have. Because 6 is actually 2 multiplied by 3, right? And then 1 multiplied by 6. That's all we have it, right? That's basically all we have it. So so basically that means that we have to change our x over here. So we have to change our x. So we mix. So 12 is actually equal to 2 multiplied by 6, and then it's also equal to 3 multiplied by 4. We already tried this one. And it is not working. So it have to be work for 2 and 6. So we change the combination to 2x plus 1 and 6x plus 1, and then we have to try those again, right? So let me try to see it. So let me try this way, okay? So if we try this one, it's also actually not really working. Yeah, it's actually not really working, I guess. So what about the other combination? The other combination over here, let's try 3 and then 2. So it is definitely not working. It's just not gonna work. Yeah, it's actually just not gonna work, I guess. And what about this? Okay, so over here, I think, so the question over here is actually, let me see, 12x plus 1 to the power square, and over here what we have is 12 equal to 2 multiplied by 6. So those are the combination what we can choose, right? 12 is equal to 2 multiplied by 6 and 3 multiplied by 4, right? So it's actually 3 multiplied by 3 multiplied by 4, right? And for 6, what we can choose, what we can basically choose over here, yes, actually, 3 and 4, and then what we have 6 is basically 6 basically 2 multiplied by 3 and then 1 multiplied by 6. That's all the combination what we can have it, right? So that's basically all the combination what we can have it, right? So and here is actually positive 6. It has to be positive, so we cannot have any negative stuff, right? Okay, I think I find the right combination over here. Sorry about it. Okay, sorry for the sorry about it actually. Okay, I think I already find the right combination. The right combination is still 3 and 4, and then we have negative 2 and then negative 3. Okay, I mean, solve the question. It's just gonna solve the question. It's just gonna take you a while to actually solve it, right? But most likely you should be able to find the solution on not more than 3 try. Okay, so this is actually the right combination which we gonna use it over here in order to solving the problem. Okay, in order to actually solving this problem. So let me actually show you the cross operation. Okay, the cross operation over here. So as you know it should be like 3 x plus 1 and then you multiply by negative 3, right? And then you have a plus, and then you're doing those two parts, right? So 4x plus 1 and then multiply by negative 2, right? So let me actually write a little more clear. Yeah, a little more clear. Okay, so we have this and this, right? Negative 3 multiplied by 3 is negative 9. That's the thing I missed it previously. And then you can see we have a 4 multiplied by negative 2, so it's negative 8 x plus 1. Okay, so you can see is negative 9 minus 8 is actually negative 17 x plus 1, right? It's actually negative 17 x plus 1, right? So you know we actually getting the right answer, cause over here you can see negative 17 x plus 1 is exactly the same, or is exactly the same as the middle term, right? So we basically know we actually get the right combination, right? So this is actually the right combination, right? So all the thing left is just you write it down the solution for it. So you put a line between it and then you write it down, right? So you basically write it down. It just simply equal to, okay, equal to. Let me put these things into a bigger bracket. 3 x plus 1 minus 2 and bracket 4 x plus 1 minus 3. So you just write it down. You just write it down the solution, right? So we already find the right combination, right? Okay. So over here, or up on this point, you can actually simplify a little bit more. That's also okay. So we can actually simplify a little bit more than that. I mean, we can do a little bit more, right? We can actually simplify the thing inside the bracket, right? So we have 3x and then we plus 3 minus 2 bracket, and then bracket 4x plus 4 minus 3, right? So now we 3x plus 3 minus 2 is actually plus 1, and then what we have is 4x plus 4 minus 3, which is equal to 1, right? So this is actually our final solution for this question. Okay, final solution. Okay, so the final solution for this question is actually 3x plus 1, 4x plus 1 for this question. Okay. Okay, so all right. So the step over here is actually all the details. Okay, it's all the details. You can actually just write it into another page, into another paper. You can write in those details in those thinking, those of your thought. Actually, you can just write it into another paper. Okay. You just don't write them into the you just don't write them as part of the answer. Okay. All right. Excuse me. Okay, so I think that's all the question for today's topic. Okay. Right. So I hope you guys to actually does understand how we actually solving different kind of problem. Cause this chapter. So basically, this chapter we're talking about a different kind of strategy, how you can actually solving this, how you can actually solve a different kind of problem, right, with different method, right? And we're talking about some of the really important property, right? Okay, and we're basically doing those questions over here, right? So basically doing actually those questions. We try to basically tell you guys how you actually. How you actually solving those questions, right, with different kind of strategy. I think that's basically all the strategy. All the strategy are already talking about over here. Okay, so if you actually watch all the questions really detailedly, you should be good to go. You should be basically good to go. Okay, should be able to good to go for now. Maybe try to do a little more question, right? Okay, but overall I think you should be good to go to most of the question. You should be able to do it. Okay, so please subscribe to my channel. Okay, so so please subscribe to my channel, and click the like button if you like the video. And if you still having some question about how you are actually solving those, you still have some questions, please, right? So please leave a comment below. Okay, otherwise see you guys on the next video.